Hello and welcome to Ironman 70.3 Auckland, coming to you from the City of Sails, Auckland, New Zealand, where the show never stops. This event also doubles as a 2014 Ironman 70.3 Asia Pacific Championship. Of course, Ironman 70.3 Auckland is one of a series of long-distance triathlon races. The 70.3 refers to the total distance in miles, so that's 113 kilometres. It's also half the distance of a full Ironman event. It is the second time that the championship has been staged in Auckland, with the event carrying a $75,000 prize purse, as well as qualifying places for age group contestants for both the Ironman and Ironman 70.3 World Championships. Extremely strong field here in Auckland and returning of a lot of stars, including our reigning champion, Christian Kemp.
To pick one name out of that field is impossible. There's so many good guys and the race can unfold in a number of different ways. Terenzo's been on 10 podiums out of 10 races, so you know that's something that he wants this title and was disappointed that he didn't get it last year. And obviously Bevan will be back and wanting to go one step higher on the podium this year, but you know, I'll be in there to do my best and see where I can end up again.
Christian Kemp, the 32-year-old from Port Macquarie, looking to hang on to that top spot in this extremely strong field. A lot of guys trying to take him down, including this man, New Zealand's own, based in California, Bevan Doherty.
It's an interesting time of the year. First race of the season. I'm in good shape, and I was in good shape last year. Yeah, I'm here to win the race.
And you'd expect nothing less from Bevan Doherty, the 37-year-old who's based in California but very much calls New Zealand home. Some more Kiwis trying to get that top spot. Hopefully he gets there in one piece after last year's accident, Terenzo Bozzoni.
Yeah, riding into a car door on the Friday before the race last year was not ideal, and hence I couldn't stand on the start line, but everything's gone really well and I'm looking forward to this great race here in Auckland on the weekend. We have a stellar pro field and it's great that all the international guys have come down to help showcase Auckland in such an amazing way. The course, the way it's situated with so many laps around here, Wynyard Quarter and the Viaduct, it's going to be really spectator friendly, and it's a great way for us to showcase the sport, showcase Auckland as a venue, and give people a real taste for what Ironman 70.3 triathlon is.
Terenzo Bozzoni always enjoys a lot of hometown support, the 28-year-old from here in Auckland. Let's have a look at the women's field now, and someone who went well last year, had a great 2013, Annabelle Luxford.
Can't believe it's been a year since I was here last and racing, and won the event, which was a huge surprise then. So it's nice to be back. It's a different year and a different field, and I'm looking forward to getting out there again. A
lot of support for her last year. Annabelle Luxford from Sydney, trying to chase her down. A big group of girls, including from Scotland, Catriona Morrison.
It is a really early season race, and for me it's actually a bonus race. I came out here for a friend's 50th birthday party back in December, and the two races that I'll do in New Zealand are kind of tacked on to the end of party season, so who knows, it's game on.
Game on indeed for Catriona Morrison, the 37-year-old from Glasgow in Scotland. Another person who will have game on indeed, one of our favourites, Jan Frodeno.
It's only my third ever 70.3, and wow, what a city. It looks like an amazing event, just sort of around the start area, transition area here. I've only flew in last night and really enjoying the sights and sounds.
Jan Frodeno, wonderful man from Germany, originally based in Noosa now. Another man looking to try and chase these guys down is Craig Alexander from Australia.
I didn't expect the field to be quite as stacked as it is, but I'm expecting a lot of the guys who are trying to qualify for Kona who are here to be in great form, because there's no point coming to a regional championship to get points unless you're in form, so you can lay your hands on a few of them. So it'll be a competitive race, and you know, I think for my own part, I think I've prepared pretty well.
Great to see the veteran Craig Alexander here in Auckland, 40 years old from Sydney, as we see the elite men lining up, standing by for this race. Start not too far away. But let's check out the course for Ironman 70.3 Auckland with Virtual Eye. As we see the wonderful landscape of Auckland City, this race is right in the heart of the City of Sails. Based at the Viaduct Event Centre in the heart of Auckland's revitalised waterfront, the 1.9k swim starts alongside Prince's Wharf. On the starter's gun, athletes swim into the Waitemata Harbour. They go to the North Wharf and finally into the Viaduct Basin. After swimming under the Wynyard Crossing Bridge, they exit up the Karanga Plaza steps and head into transition at the back of the Viaduct Event Centre. 1.9 Ks, elite competitors should exit the swim in around 23 minutes. From transition, riders cut through Auckland's Wynyard Quarter streets and out onto West Haven Drive. They ride alongside the motorway and the marina as the first leg heads north. Riders loop under and then up onto the Auckland Harbour Bridge, the iconic landmark linking to Auckland's North Shore. Riders push uphill along the Northern Busway before taking in the suburban streets of Rosedale. Returning to Auckland's Wynyard Quarter and around North Wharf's Tank Farm, they now take on 2 shorter laps of the southern course. Out through the Viaduct Harbour streets and along Tamaki Drive, the athletes speed past ports of Auckland and around the waterfront bays to a turnaround in St Heliers, the base for the original Ironman New Zealand. Then it's back to the Wynyard Quarter before a repeat of the southern course. 1 lap northbound, 2 laps southbound. Elite athletes should power through this 90k bike leg in around 2.25 hours. The run section of Ironman 70.3 Auckland heads out on the paved walkway around the Viaduct's waterfront apartments and Auckland's prominent Prince's Wharf, taking the same waterfront roads as the cycle to an earlier turnaround on Tamaki Drive. Then it's back to the Auckland Viaduct, turning just short of the event centre before athletes head back out for lap 2, a repeat of lap 1. 21.1 Ks, the elites running should complete this in just over an hour, and they head up the finish line chute and grandstand celebrations at the Viaduct Event Centre. And we're underway in the men's race. Good clean start from these guys, and I'm joined in commentary from firstoffthebike.com by Phil Rockner.
Thanks, Cam. What a cracking morning we've got here today as well, isn't it? Beautiful weather and a stark contrast from what we got last season.
Yeah, last year did get a bit messy at the front and weather-wise, but a beautiful day. And all these guys are in quite a straight line at this point, not really forming into too many packs at this stage.
It's the traditional swimming drag race at the start of any 70.3, which has turned into a really, really quick affair as the ITU transients come from the shorter course racing up to the longer form of triathlon. And as we can see already, there are some swimmers who are getting themselves ahead.
Yes, there is, and you'd expect a fairly big pack to develop once they get up to that first turning buoy, just heading along the side of Prince's Wharf at the moment, and they'll turn left and go along the front of the Viaduct Event Centre.
Yeah, you would see at the moment we're looking like the gold medalist there from the Olympics, Jan Frodeno, who looks like he's taking it out hard early, and that'll be a strategy for him, Cam, because he's going to play the cards that suit him, and one of those is that he's a very, very good swimmer.
And there are some good local swimmers, a couple of the New Zealanders, but Australians are always really renowned for their strong swimming, as we see the women about to start as well.
Yeah, nice clean start too for our female elites. There's only 12 of them, but there's plenty of talent in that group.
Well, you've got Annabelle Luxford. She likes to lead from the front as she did last year, and that background of hers, she's a very strong swimmer, biker and runner, but you expect her to be having a go in the front here. But some other girls that swim well as well.
That's right, and this time a year ago we weren't talking about her, but she's had such a good 2013 that she's front and centre for us today. As you can see the men now making their way around the boys, and they are starting to really string out.
Yeah, they are, and it's a technical course here in Auckland. It's not a sort of an out-and-back course or rectangle like you do get in a lot of races. There's a lot of turns, about eight in total.
That's right, and it looks like the big German's out in front at the moment, Jan Frodeno. As you suggest, though, there's a couple of guys on his feet, and of course, the drafting in swimming is perfectly legal, and what these guys are trying to do is just cut down the effort that it takes to stay at the top of this race.
And we can see in the background there all the age group athletes starting to stream down for the airwave start. Over 1,200 people taking part in this race today.
Yeah, how good is it that they get to do the same course as the pros on the same day? Fantastic effort. And as you can see there, we've got a big stretch by the German who's really taking it to this field.
And he has got a wonderful swim stroke and is putting some time into these guys, like you're saying, Phil. But a wonderful day, great conditions for swimming.
Yeah, it's a mill pond out there, and I think what this is going to do is really increase the speed early on, and so the good swimmers are going to try and stretch out, and those who are not so good are going to have a really hard time just to make that front group.
You see Mark Bosted, one of the local hopes, sitting in there, but yes, Jan Frodeno is definitely doing some work as we go back to the women's field.
That's right. Annabelle Luxford is an absolutely brilliant swimmer, and she proved that all around the world last year, and she's doing it again already by stretching out this women's field.
And the difficulty is when it gets stretched out like this, Phil, if you start missing packs, and it's sort of all over for you, isn't it?
That's right. The pace of 70.3 racing around the world has increased in the last couple of seasons, and what we're seeing already here, a gap starting to form, and groups will start forming on the road, on the bike as a result.
So a big line of guys, they are already getting stretched out with the pace that Phil was talking about before, heading towards North Wharf. And Phil, in these sort of courses, navigation is key as well.
Well, that's right, and you'll see the swimmers actually looking forward, not just side to side as a normal pool swimmer will. As you can see there, he's doing a great job of just casting forward to make sure that he's swimming in a straight line, because that's the key.
And you can see with the really good swimmers, like all of these guys are, a majority of them are, it looks like they're not really doing a heck of a lot, but goodness me, they are. And as we go back, this is one of the age group wave starts. It's on in there, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. It's a little bit more crowded and a bit more frenetic in the age group wave starts, but you're just saying that the swimmers there who are out in front, the ones who look like they're doing it easy, are doing a lot under the water, so that their recovery stroke, when they bring their arms through, it looks a lot more relaxed. But I tell you now, they're like a duck. It's a lot going on under the water.
And Jan Frodeno heading up to the next turning buoy and making quite short work of this, really. So he'll be turning here and heading back towards the Viaduct Event Centre in the Viaduct Harbour.
I think what's happening now is that the pace of the race is being set and the tone of the race is being set. This is going to be a quick day here in Auckland, and we can see already the pack is strung out. The fast swimmers are getting themselves ahead, and the packs on the road will start forming. But these guys will want to get themselves a little bit of clear space coming into transition, or T1 as we call it, because there's going to be 30 guys trying to get into a very small space.
As we see the chase pack for the women, look like Kim Janke and Sam Warren, a couple of very accomplished swimmers as well.
Yeah, just casting forward themselves too. They know Annabelle Luxford's going to go off the front, and what they're going to try and do is limit their losses in the water.
As you can see, the men's field, they'll be heading out to the front of the viaduct entrance, and there's a buoy there. They'll turn right and head straight back inside to the viaduct itself.
Well, it's close quarters, isn't it? The men packed very closely together, sitting on the feet, getting some draft to make sure they're not just burning energy as they go through this swim.
And it'd be quite tough to do, because you get right in the middle of that pack. It's you know, you're going to cop a few punches, a few hits, and it's survival of the fittest, isn't it?
Well, no one said swimming wasn't a contact sport, Cam, and we're seeing a little bit of that at the moment as the pros get around the last turning can as they come through.
As you see Annabelle Luxford way out the front in this women's swim already. She's teaching these girls a bit of a swimming lesson.
She is, and she has a bit of a different stroke due to some shoulder issues that she's had, but the men, no such issues here. A few of them lost their caps. We can see Chris Kemp, the defending champion, one of those. But nice smooth swimming out front by Jimmy Sear, who's trailing Jan Frodeno only by a couple of body lengths. He's a very good open water swimmer, is Jimmy Sear.
So about to go under the viaduct walkway, and they'll head up the Karanga Plaza steps. So really short work of the swim, as we see some of the super yachts that are parked up in Auckland at the moment, and some real packs have formed in here.
That's right. You can see it's a different stroke, isn't it, the open water stroke. Jan Frodeno is a monster at the moment. He's doing a huge job. Big, strong arms as he comes into the last few strokes of his swim today.
And round this last buoy and up towards the Karanga Plaza steps for Jan Frodeno, and making short work of the swim.
Well, it's mission accomplished too for Jan Frodeno, splitting up the group, getting a few of the boys to go with him, but also knocking off maybe a few of the favourites who can run quick. Craig Alexander, Cam Brown, some of those guys.
So they swim right into the steps. It's quite a good exit here. They have to run up the steps, but at the same time they can swim straight up to them and get straight out and run up the side. So up the Karanga Plaza steps, see all the spectators, some wonderful vantage points in here as well as they head towards transition.
That's right, they're rolling out the red carpet for these guys. The top 4 men are out. Jan Frodeno is our race leader at the moment, the 2008 gold medalist from Beijing, and he's made a beautiful transition both from the water and from the short course distance of racing. This is only number 3 for 70.3s for him.
So shade under 22 minutes for Jan Frodeno, with Jimmy Sear and Graham O'Grady in behind him, and in for a very quick transition, no doubt.
And here comes the chase group. Bevan Doherty there, Sam Appleton, the young Aussie, and we just saw Terenzo Bazzoni in that group as well.
You see Bevan just put his head up to see where the front guys were as O'Grady and Sear head on out onto the bike course.
It's quick in the dead, isn't it? You've got to get change. Any lost time in this sort of environment is just wasted energy out on the course.
So as we see the top 5 men out of the water, Jan Frodeno first, James Sear, Graham O'Grady, James Hodge and Mark Bosted rounding out the top 5.
And here come some of the chasers, including Craig Alexander. He's a 3-time Hawaiian Ironman champion and certainly knows how to get it done at this distance as well.
A couple of technical parts to get through at the start of this race. A few corners around the side of the viaduct. Nothing too dramatic though for these guys, but here they are going around West Haven Drive alongside the motorway, and they'll head around and under the harbour bridge and over there fairly soon.
It's a period of adjustment at the moment. They're coming out, as we can see, our women's leader, Annabelle Luxford, with a great swim leg of 24.02, getting it done very nicely for her and gapping the rest of the women's field.
And Sam Warner coming up out of the water at the moment. But interestingly enough, Phil, she's out of transition before the other girls have arrived.
And this comes back to her ITU days where she's very sharp through transition. This is Kim Janke from Australia. She's done a 25.18. Nice swim for her. Sam Warner wheels her bike out for another 70.3 dig here in Auckland. And the veteran is still very competitive, as we can see them grinding up the harbour bridge here.
Jimmy Sear still in the aero position, but as a lot of these guys are, but it is quite a tough climb up over the harbour bridge, and he's still trying to get those cycle legs going, as they say. It's a few different muscles you're using after the swim, but these guys will get to the top and get right tucked into that aero position as they head down the harbour bridge and towards the Northern Busway.
And another one of our women's elites just finishing her swim. Great support by the crowd here in Auckland as they are very excited about what will unfold in the latter part of today.
So you can see the bikes closest to us on the motorway, and they're absolutely bombing it down the harbour bridge. These guys are very, very quick cyclists. And that's Jan Frodeno, and look at that aerodynamic position, Phil. He's right down inside the frame.
Yeah, he's gone full Tour de France mode, hasn't he? As he attempts to get as much speed going as he can. The big German, he's tucked right down there trying to be as aero as possible on a very aero-looking machine there.
So Jan Frodeno now gets back onto the usual position, as you would think, but very, very big, tall, strong guy, long levers, and loves nothing more than smashing his bike as hard as he can. And as they head out towards the Northern Bus Loop, and you can see on the left of that shot there is where the cyclists are going up and down the harbour bridge. But Jan Frodeno, as he's going along here, and it's a magnificent pace, is quite up and down as he heads up the Northern Busway. It's not exactly flat. If you think it's flat, definitely not.
No, that's right. It's a little bit unforgiving after a while because the false flats will sap the legs. And it's a constant battle between geography and machine as more of our riders get out onto the course this morning.
So heading out the back of the Viaduct Event Centre, some good support from the volunteers. As you can see, another one of our competitors heading towards transition. Got the swim done, short work for her. As we see one of our young Australian competitors, James Hodge, and he's a real up-and-comer, Phil.
He is, and as you can see, a lot of these guys in the first race of the season are out on new gear, new sponsors, new bikes, so it's a lot of testing for some of these guys today. James Hodge, super aggressive last year here in Auckland, and he's going out again hard. He's a bloke who likes to take it up the road, and he's quite comfortable doing it. Check out Batman here, defending champion Chris Kemp.
That's one heck of a ride, isn't it?
Absolutely. He's got it all working now at the Adam West of triathlon. Chris Kemp, very nice and relaxed. This is obviously a new bike for him this season.
And a very cool looking bike indeed. Got a lot of comments as he's racking it in transition yesterday. See another one of our competitors just heading up towards the Northern Bus Loop, the northern part of this course. And you can see from the cadence there, it's quite tough getting up through there to get along and get some good rhythm going. Some more of our age group competitors heading into transition. In transition, it's semi-organised chaos, Phil.
It's like a big messy bedroom, isn't it? But these guys and girls are all racing for different things. Some race for fitness, others race to try and get to the various world championships around the world, both in Kona, Hawaii, and Mont-Tremblant in Canada this year.
So a big line of guys, all of course not drafting, Phil, 10 metres between each. But Bevan Doherty, second last year, two-time Olympic medalist, and he's looking a lot more comfortable than he did this time last year.
Yeah, didn't have a happy day last year. He looks pretty good at the moment. You can see there just seeking forward, just stretching himself out as we just pan across again to this transition area, which is rush hour at the moment. You can see all these bikes, all these age groupers, and a bunch of different stories unfolding today.
So all in wave starts for the age groupers. High five from a competitor through to one of her friends or family as we head out towards the sharp end of the course again with James Hodge.
Yeah, he's always driving the pace. Anytime he gets on two wheels in a triathlon, James Hodge is a guy who doesn't like to just sit around and let it unfold for himself. He wants to get out there and push it. And he's got a few escapees with him as well, including Jan Frodeno, and it looks like Terenzo Bozzoni up the road as well.
See a lot of supporters out here for their friends and family. And the beauty of this course, and goodness me, look at the weather. It's a beautiful day that Auckland's turned on. But you can go to various points around the CBD and just cheer people on. So you're going to see them a lot of times.
That's right, and you're never too far away from a coffee on this course, which is very important, Cam. Terenzo Bozzoni 2.0. This is the new version of Terenzo after the injury. He's come back. He's a lot stronger. He nearly took out the world title in Las Vegas last year, and he looks very comfortable.
Well, Terenzo, you know, he was commentating with us last year, Phil, sitting in the central commentary position, very disappointed. Ended up with that delayed concussion that affected him for the first half of the season. But you're right, the back end of the season and through the front of here has been outstanding for him.
That's right. The support around the course, as you mentioned, is pretty phenomenal. As you can see, plenty more of age groupers getting it done and coming out onto the course. There's the line that is the men's professional race right now.
So heading up the Harbour Bridge, Graham O'Grady in the front of the shot, Christian Kemp reigning champion in front of him, and like you're saying, Phil, big line of guys, and they'll head down off the Harbour Bridge, scoot back round under the bridge, and they'll head out to the southern part of this course on the Auckland waterfront.
That's right, enjoying no doubt the pristine day that Auckland has offered these athletes today.
And no disrespect to people you see in transition, Phil, but quite a difference in pace between the pros and the age groupers at times.
That's right, the pros racing for money, no doubt, and every second counts for those guys and girls as they try and get out and on the road as fast as possible. But we are seeing a couple of little breaks and little cracks in the field, and we are seeing some chase groups forming on the road as well, as Joanna Lawn, 7-time Ironman New Zealand winner, is doing her best to limit the losses that she incurred in the swim.
Yeah, you know, Jo fully admits that she's built for endurance, and that's her strength. But look, she's out here. It's her hometown. She lives about 500 metres away from the course here in the or from the transition. Her father's got an apartment right about 100 metres away from transition. She'll be looking for a big day.
And as you can see here, the riders in the male professional field being very, very careful not to incur the wrath of the technical officials. You can get red carded if you are drafting.
And that's the last thing you want, especially like you say, Phil, when you're racing for as much prize money as we have here at Auckland 70.3. And you can see the ports of Auckland in the background there. A big supporter of this event, and this is really, it's not even a hill. They just go up and over this little blip in the road, and that's all they've got to do for the southern part of this course. It's flat and fast.
And they're taking full advantage, aren't they, as they try and press their advantage from the swim. And you can see Terenzo just having a look around as James Hodge makes his way through to the head of affairs.
And Terenzo Bozzoni, you can see him, he's trying to wave a few guys through. He wants them to do some work. Even though it's not drafting, you can still key off each other and keep the pace going.
Well, there are 1,200 athletes out on the course as we speak, and another one exits transition to get the ride started.
And Annabelle Luxford, she's going through the back end of the viaduct and heading back towards transition at the moment. And Phil, she's out in the front quite nicely at the moment.
She looks great, and again, this is how she needs to play this. She's got a brand new bike under her, and she'll be no doubt a little bit nervous about how that's going to perform. But all things being considered, she's doing exactly what she set out to do. Fast swim, faster bike, hold them off on the run. Well, this is Andrew Yoder, who is the comeback kid. He's had a couple of seasons off through illness and injury, and now he's come back doing what he did when he left the sport.
Yeah, exactly. Going out the front and having a real crack on the bike, and he can really cycle. He's a very, very accomplished cyclist, young man from the United States, and he's looking to see if he can put a bit of time into these other guys by the looks of things.
And he is doing just that, as Annabelle Luxford is doing the same in the women's event. She looks very, very aero on that new bike, and at the moment she's absolutely destroying the rest of this field.
So Annabelle Luxford, she's heading towards Silo Park. She'll go around Tank Farm, and that brings her back past transition, and she'll be out in the southern part of this course. But it'll be interesting to see when the girls can start seeing each other when they get out onto the southern part, a couple of 180-degree turns, how much of a lead she has over these other girls. And with virtual eye, we can go to the chase pack for the men. As we know, Andrew Yoder is out the front. Here we can see Terenzo Bozzoni, Jan Frodeno and James Hodge all trying to limit that loss.
And that's right, they're not going to be too worried about what's going on up the road. They're going to do some maths, going to calculate how much time they can afford Andrew Yoder to take off the front. But right now, what they're going to try and do is just consolidate their position.
So riding along the Auckland waterfront, out on the left is Rangitoto Island and the north shore of Auckland, but these guys aren't too far away from turning around, as Annabelle Luxford is just around about at the Viaduct Event Centre, and she'll be heading out onto the Auckland waterfront very, very shortly.
It's pretty tough for Annabelle. She's out there by herself. She doesn't really know what's going on at the moment. There are no time checks for her. She just knows that she has to go as hard as she possibly can because of what's behind her.
Terenzo Bozzoni, young Kiwi, heading out through Mission Bay. It's about 5Ks till the turnaround at St Heliers. And as we mentioned in the intro, that was the spot for the original Ironman New Zealand at St Heliers. But Terenzo Bozzoni, he's done a lot of work in the last year to get himself right after some times that it wasn't so great for him. But Annabelle Luxford just heading through the back of the viaduct at the moment.
Plenty of vantage points, as you suggested earlier, that people can come and watch and see this great event. You can see it from all angles as our athletes zoom around the course. One of those, Annabelle Luxford, still out in front and still looking very, very comfortable.
So Annabelle Luxford heading along Key Street towards Tamaki Drive. So we see Terenzo Bozzoni, he is at Long Drive in St Heliers, slowing down to do the turnaround. And these bikes, they're very, very fast, but not really built for turning corners, are they, Phil?
No, they're straight line machines. These guys have been on them so much, though, they can handle them well. And as you can see there, they're all getting out of the saddle, pushing the big gears and getting back to speed.
And so they need to, but Annabelle Luxford is almost the picture of perfection on the bike, isn't she? Great body position, really high cadence, so that means she pedals quickly to get herself through the bike.
And in contrast, you see Jan Frodeno, who pedals on force, bigger gear. Of course, he's got the big legs to power that machine, and he does it very, very well. Terenzo Bozzoni there, spinning like a champion still, and making his way through this field.
It's interesting to see who uses what sort of technique, but whatever gets you to the end and whatever gives you a great run as well is what works for these guys. Now here we have the chaser, as it were, for the women, Kat Morrison.
Yeah, not much said about Kat Morrison today other than she is a very, very tough competitor. Doesn't swim so well, bikes well, runs very, very well. So I think it's going to come down to what unfolds on the run. And again, she's doing the maths as well, Cam. She's sitting there thinking, well, how much time can I give someone like Annabelle Luxford up the road? And I think at the moment she'd be pretty comfortable where things are sitting.
And as we saw with the men with that turnaround, that is where they can look at each other and see what's going on as we see the Batmobile once again.
Yeah, Batman on his Bat bike. Christian Kemp is coming into this race with different reasons than last season. He's trying to go into the Ironman longer racing format, and this is going to be a nice tune-up for him. Of course, an Asia Pacific title, you always want to try and win, always want to try and defend. That number one's pretty heavy.
Yes, it is, but it also gives you some extra legs at times as well, as we see Kat Morrison again. And you're saying that she's runs extremely well, and as we've talked about, a very good cyclist, but she spent a lot of time in New Zealand over the summer. She came out here, she's saying earlier, for a 50th birthday party, and has just stayed on, done a few races, and she's been doing very well.
She's on holiday here. She's in party mode, but as you can always understand with professional athletes, they like to race whenever they can. She's picked up one race win earlier this year. She's going for number 2 now.
So Kat Morrison heading through Okahu Bay, and Sam Warriner, local race for her, lives a couple of hours north of Auckland in Whangarei, so she's heading around the Auckland waterfront as we see the beautiful Rangitoto Island in the background on the Waitemata Harbour.
And again, you see these girls pushing very, very big gears, both Warriner and Morrison. A bit of a difference to what we've been watching with Annabelle Luxford.
Yes, it is indeed, and look, here we are. These two girls were right together when we saw that as we get to the turnaround at the front of the course, and heading back through to the CBD. And this is the group that's got the likes of Cameron Brown and Craig Alexander in it.
And as you can see here, Sam Warriner and Kat Morrison working together. It's legal what they're doing, and what they're trying to do is actually lessen the gap between themselves and the race leader, Annabelle Luxford.
And the beauty of it, you're exactly bang on, Phil, because the beauty of it is you can maintain a pace. You can maintain a pace easier with two of you. You just swap between the front of each other. You're not drafting, but you can maintain a pace easier. So they'll see Annabelle Luxford coming back towards them in the next few minutes anyway.
And that's right, and it's the same with the men. You see that big pack of chasers all working together. You'll find that there'll be a few guys out the front driving, and there'll be a few guys who are just sitting in, getting the advantage of that.
One of the great vantage points here in Auckland, going through Mission Bay, wonderful beach to swim at, and wonderful cafes as well, as we're looking here at the St Heliers turnaround.
And this is our race leader for the women's. It's Annabelle Luxford. She's still out in front, making the right-hand turn as she swings around this tricky little encounter, and away she goes.
As we join James Hodge heading back towards the city. So there's one lap of the northern part of the course, 2 laps of the southern part, and James Hodge, he's still got the power on. The bike's almost scared of him at times, isn't it?
He's deep in concentration as he goes around. There's lots to think about in a race like this in terms of how fast you're going, where your competitors are, how many calories you need to take. Some good support here too for Kat Morrison and Sam Warriner. You can see that gap is closing a little bit to Annabelle Luxford. I don't think it was as big as it was, but here is the men's chase group. We can just see the tail end of it there with David Dallow, who is coming back to long course racing after a little bit of illness last season.
So Annabelle Luxford heading back towards transition to complete the first of her 2 laps. And Annabelle would have had a chance to see these other girls, so that mental calculation we talked about before will be in her head to know what she needs to do.
Looking very aero too as she makes a little bit of a pass there, and obviously the new bike suiting her because she's doing very nicely on it. Craig Alexander needs no introduction to anybody in the sport of triathlon. Colour coordinated beautifully too.
Yes, he is. But look at this guy, 40 years old. A lot of guys say, oh, 40, 40, it's all over. Well, 40 is the new 30 for him, isn't it?
Well, that's right. He's still very competitive at the 70.3 scene. He's decided to throw away his Kona license and not go back to Kona, but the 70.3 distance still sees him as a threat, and somebody who's still figuring it all out, Annabelle Luxford.
As we see Jan Frodeno, big German, 2008 Olympic gold medalist, based in Noosa, Australia now. Wonderful guy to chat to, and you might even see this from the bike. Extremely tall athlete, long levers, gets a lot of power out of this bike.
Yeah, and again, this is only his 3rd race at this distance, and he nearly took out the European Championship last year, and it just goes to show that gold medal engine is good over the shorter distance. It's also good over the longer 4-hour format, and Chris Kemp trying to stay with him and keep his defending title chances alive. He certainly is coming off a big block of training. He's based in Vegas most of the year, and he told us pre-race he doesn't get too distracted by the strip. He's not one of the, he's not going to get himself into a hangover scenario. He's certainly just there to train, and he does a very good job.
Well, he's doing a very good job of it as we see it, and we know this is going to turn into a big old running race for these guys. They're putting the power on, as we see Bevan Doherty. Speaking of power, he's another big, strong guy, and it will turn into a running race, and it makes it very exciting too, Phil.
Absolutely, and you might see some of these guys looking like they're riding the same bikes. That's the Pro Colour that the bike company puts out every year. You might see Bevan Doherty and also Craig Alexander pedaling the same sort of bike. Jan Frodeno too, as we tick through 2 hours and 25 minutes gone in this 70.3 Auckland.
Terenzo Bozzoni heading back towards transition, and the ports of Auckland in the background, working port right in the CBD of Auckland.
And there's Terenzo Bozzoni looking very much like a very fast train right now. He came to Australia last year. He cleaned up the 70.3 Australian title. He won 70.3 Shepparton, ended his 2013 with a little bit more pocket money as Andrew Yoder makes his way in to T2. He racks his bike, and boy, Cam, he's had a monster ride.
You bang on there, Phil. He's had a magnificent ride, hasn't he, as he gets his shoes and socks on. Andrew Yoder gets ready for this run. But here come the chasers, Terenzo Bozzoni, Jan Frodeno and Christian Kemp.
Yeah, it's a very good gang of three there. All these guys can run very well. Of course, Christian Kemp, our defending champion, he wears number 1. A quick look behind him as he makes his way into T2.
And these guys have some very quick transitions, and Christian Kemp looks behind him and another group of athletes, Phil.
That's right, including Jimmy Sear and David Dallow. Bevan Doherty very fast out of transition. Christian Kemp on his heels, as is Terenzo Bozzoni. And we can see there Andrew Yoder's elite men's swim and bike time of 2 hours and 30 has him out in front.
And some very strong people rounding out that top 5 as we see a local pro, Mark Bosted, racing here in Auckland from his hometown. So he'll be a very happy boy with his friends and family as we shoot across with Virtual Eye to Prince's Wharf. And we can see here's Mark looking strong still running across. But those top 5 guys, Phil, they took off out of transition with a lot of running intent.
And that's what Jan Frodeno hinted at the press conference about, the fact that they can and do have the speed to do this. And as you can see now, take a look at him. He's got a beautiful run form. He's nice and solid, and he is just running himself into a very, very good position here.
Big, strong guys we've talked about for the swim and the bike. And we go back to the women's field, and Annabelle Luxford, she's still looking strong at the front of this.
Yeah, this is very similar to what she did in Vegas, where she was riding so strong with that group of women who were with her. It just depends now to see what sort of energy she has left to finish out the run. Of course, it's hard to have a form line because there is no form. We're very early into 2014.
It's not too far away from transition. You can see the CBD in the background. Ports of Auckland are on her right, so that shows us that she is very close to getting back to transition. And as we've talked about, what is going to be the effect of Catriona Morrison and Sam Warner working together, getting closer to transition?
Well, that's right. A couple of more pros heading in to what we call T2 or Transition 2, where they swap the bike for the run.
Yes, one of those in the green helmet, another local boy, local school teacher, Brodie Madgwick. So out here testing himself against the big boys.
Yeah, nice to see that the locals are getting behind this event, both on the course and supporting it with all the volunteers who are out here again today.
And you look at transition, we've talked about the organised chaos of it, but goodness me, if you're a newbie to the sport, you'll be looking at this thinking, what's going on here?
Well, it's not uncommon for people to lose themselves in transition and their bikes as well, as Annabelle Luxford has had no such issues today. She's riding her way back into town. You can see the age group is heading out, but she looks still very calm, very solid, and a very calculated athlete.
And she's made this transition from short distance racing to 70.3 so well, hasn't she? And a lot of athletes, they struggle to find their feet, but Annabelle Luxford, she's just raced like she always has, goes off the front, goes as hard as she can, for as long as she can, and generally that gets her a good result.
Well, that's right. It really is taken out of the book of someone like a Chrissy Wellington, who was one of the greats, a 13-time Ironman winner, who just went flat out every time she raced.
So there we have our local man, Brodie Madgwick, getting ready and heading out to his run time. But we'll see how he compares to some of these other elites.
And Annabelle Luxford is somebody who has had such a strong day today. It's calculation time for her at the moment, though, Cam. She's probably thinking about the run coming forward. She's thinking about calories. She'll be thinking about how much she's burned so far to get this sort of a lead.
So for Annabelle now, she's right in the heart of the Auckland CBD. So she's just going to head around the back of the viaduct now, through Silo Park, around through the tank farm, and she'll be back at transition very shortly.
Well, there's no timeouts in triathlon, and Annabelle Luxford knows that all too well. She'll be just thinking through the process now of getting herself off her bike and getting herself onto the run.
And some magnificent support from some Aucklanders here. Wonderful day being turned on and coming out to support these athletes as they make this transition. And look at this, we're back at transition itself, and people are standing very, very deep. Another one of our local pros, local Australian I should say, Jamie Stanley, part-time pro, he's having a go against the big boys too today as well.
Yeah, no doubt enjoying his time in the sun here in the beautiful city of Auckland. And you can see here the volunteers, the Ports of Auckland volunteers doing such a great job. They hand out all sorts of things to the pros and to the age groupers as they come through. Annabelle Luxford doesn't want any of it. What she wants to do, Cam, is get off that bike and start running.
It's amazing in triathlon, you get through the swim and you think, okay, I just want to get on my bike. Get through the bike, you're like, I just want to start running. And Annabelle, she's a very accomplished cyclist, as we've talked about. Just have to slow down a little bit as she takes on a couple of corners here, but she is going to be in transition over the next 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, and people talk about the strength of Kat Morrison. Annabelle Luxford is a very good runner as well. Certainly Kat has got the pedigree. She's been around for a while. Kat's coming off an Achilles injury. As we can see the beautiful skyline of the city of Auckland where we are at the moment, the Sky Tower and some wonderful, wonderful boats in the harbour there. It's quite a scene. And
you look at the conditions. We talked about it earlier being a mill pond. It's been like this right the way through the entire day for these guys. So here she is, Annabelle Luxford, turns left, goes through North Wharf, has to negotiate a few technical parts here, but cafes along on the right there, no time for those. She'll come to the end of this little run, turn left, and she's in transition.
Yeah, it's all just now getting her feet out of her shoes, which are attached to the pedals, and what she'll start to do now is think, run and exactly how much time have I made on two wheels.
And it'd be she'll be interested to know, and she'll be getting those calls from people on the course. How much time does she have? As we see magnificent flag waving from the official there.
I'm enjoying that flag work there. Very well played there. And there she goes. She's just wheeling herself in, and now onto the run. The run starts. She comes in, racks her bike. Very calm looking Annabelle Luxford.
And we talked about this when she went to the first transition, but with that short distance triathlon experience behind her, she is so quick in transition, Annabelle Luxford, and it's free time for these guys. The more you muck around, the more time you waste. It's free time to get out quicker.
Yeah, and anyone who's come through that I2U rank knows exactly about how quick you have to be, because that is fast and furious racing. This is fast and furious racing of a different kind, and what Annabelle has to do now is just get away from that bike as fast as possible, because that means she'll be making time on her opponents. The main ones, Sam Warriner and also Kat Morrison.
And that'll be the great unknown early season, as Phil was saying. So a lot of these girls and guys, they don't quite know where each other are in the way of their fitness. But I can tell you now, if you're tuning up to the Asia Pacific Championship here in Auckland, you're definitely going to be in some form. So current leader, 2 hours 50 for Annabelle Luxford. Very, very sharp time. So as we talked about, very quick transitioner, and puts a number belt on, gets her running shoes on, and she's away out of transition.
Well, Annabelle Luxford has been training with none other than Craig Alexander, a 5-time world champion. She's been picking his brain about the long course, and she says that it's a real treat to train with someone like him, and it's just at the moment some gathering of knowledge.
One of our age group athletes into transition. Very sharp time from this young man to make himself get in there, and you know you're doing well when you get back and there's not too many bikes sitting in transition, Phil.
I'll have to rely on your words for that, but you know that these are the age groupers. They're amateurs, they work full-time jobs, they train pretty hard, and this is what your result is, the fact that they can come out and race with the pros and around the pros on a course like Auckland. Here comes Sam Warriner through into T2.
And there's a whole lot of these age group guys in behind her, but Kat Morrison right in front of her. So these two girls have stayed together, but look at Sam here. She's quite gingerly running, isn't she? And she has had a much publicised hamstring injury, so maybe that's causing her some grief.
Well, both of these women have had much publicised injuries, of course, as you suggested. Kat's also had Achilles surgery, and she said to us before the race, it's the last thing you always want to do is go under the knife, and she has had that done. And take a look at her, though. She's running out very, very strongly.
She is running out strongly indeed, and she'll know where she needs to get to be able to catch up to Annabelle Luxford. But Sam Warriner, she doesn't look uncomfortable. She's just going slower than she usually would. So obviously she's happy enough to keep running at this point.
And here's the men's race right now. Take a look at this. This is Richie Cunningham, who's having an absolute storming run. He's run through the field. He's picked up Terenzo Bozzoni and Bevan Doherty. Jan Frodeno still up the road. Andrew Yoder no longer a factor in this race, and he is really stretching them out.
And here we have our 4th and 5th women, Joanna Lorne and Michelle Bremer, rounding out the top 5, both local New Zealanders. And Jo didn't look that comfortable leading into transition either, but I'll tell you what, she's as tough as they get, isn't she, Jo Lorne? So she's a local Aucklander, as I said earlier. Her dad's got an apartment pretty close to where this race takes place. She lives just up the road, so these two girls heading out on the course.
Yeah, Jo Lorne, absolutely a very tough competitor. Kat Morrison there running through an aid station. There is our women's leader, that is Annabelle Luxford, who is running at the moment for a defence of her Asia Pacific title.
We talk about the form of Annabelle Luxford, and she does keep very good form, but here we go. Bevan Doherty was starting to slide off a wee bit. He's caught himself up, but Richie Cunningham, you talked about pushing the pace. This guy's on fire today.
Richie Cunningham is one of the hardest racers going around. Annabelle Luxford still looks nice and relaxed there as she is still in the lead and has no one really to push her at the moment other than the time and what she sees out on course. But these men are absolutely flying. Richie Cunningham spent a lot of time over winter in Boulder. He flew in as almost as a last-minute effort, and have a look at him go now.
We talk a lot about the elite athletes, but what about the over 1,200 age groupers and teams that are here today? It's a big day for them as well, Phil.
Well, that's right. The age groupers are the beating heart of triathlon. They make up the majority of all the fields that you see around the world. Over 50 countries represented today, and they look like they are having a great time.
I'm from Japan.
And good to see our Japanese athletes here as well. And it's awesome seeing these guys. You make a lot of friends in this sport. It's one of the friendliest sports around. You can push yourself, or you might just be there to complete it.
Well, that's right. There are 1,200 different stories out on the road as we see. This is Graham O'Grady, who was featured early in the swim. And here comes Terenzo Bazzoni and Bevan Doherty as they make their turn onto the second lap.
And let's have a look with virtual eye. We go to where our women's leader, Annabelle Luxford, is. She's still hanging strong, but from what we're hearing, Catriona Morrison's making up some time.
Yeah, that's right. It's a tough day, isn't it? She's been out the front the whole time, and she led out of the water. She also rode her bike very, very well. Kat Morrison is flying, as are these three blokes.
Goodness me, Richie Cunningham came out of nowhere and he's absolutely flying. And it'll be interesting to see if those other two boys can hang on, but doing it by herself, heading out in the second lap, enjoys good support here too, Annabelle Luxford.
That's right, the fans getting behind her. They know how tough it is out the front all day, and she still looks relatively composed though. There's not a lot of shake in that run. She still looks good, but Richie Cunningham, boy, he's turned the screws now. Terenzo Bazzoni has responded.
And he has responded, but you can't see Bevan Doherty anymore. And these guys are trying to put some time into Jan Frodeno, but Jan's still well out in front.
Kat Morrison here doing a very nice job. She is really getting into her work now, running very strongly.
And she is running strongly. She goes to the turnaround in front of the Viaduct Event Centre, so that's 1 lap, 10.5 Ks done. Oh, she doesn't know where the turnaround is. Told to go back. There she is. She's okay, but she's back on course again and back into that rhythm as well.
Well, very zoned in, wasn't she? She was just concentrating, 1 foot in front of the other, not looking at the official. There she goes again, though, scoots around. This is Timbo Reid and, of course, the king of Taupo, Cam Brown. And they're trying to race into 5th and 6th, so it definitely is on for the top positions.
Yes, it is, and Timbo Reid with the Budgie Smugglers actually has Budgie Smuggler written on the back of his swimsuit there.
Only he's getting away with it beautifully. I think he's running very fast. Annabelle Luxford is all on her own as she tries to stay in front of a rampaging Kat Morrison, who's eating the course up. Our age group is still pouring into transition now.
Oh, a huge amount of age groupers, and here's Jo Lorne. She is 7 times Ironman New Zealand winner, and she's got herself into 3rd place. As we've suspected, Samantha Warren is still running, but she's just trying to get through pain-free for today.
And Jo Lorne looks like she's actually moving a lot better than we saw her leaving transition. She's missed that turnaround as well. There she goes, sneaking around it, and away she goes again. She looks like she's got into her rhythm now.
And she has got into her rhythm. You don't win 7 times at Ironman New Zealand for nothing, as we look at a few more of the sights from today.
Well, the age group is getting it done, 1,200, trying to get themselves to maybe a world title or just to get themselves across the line. It's a wonderful achievement for everybody who was out and about on the course in Auckland.
And with virtual eye, we can go from the Viaduct Event Centre back out onto Tamaki Drive. And look at this, we can see the catch and the new lead has been taken. Catriona Morrison is now in the lead here in Auckland.
Well, Kat Morrison has done a masterful job just being patient in this race. She waited on the bike. Annabelle Luxford there trying to hold on to 2nd place as Kat Morrison has gone up the road. But boy, Cam, she really just waited until it was her time to go.
Yeah, it's a perfect execution of the race plan, isn't it? So Catriona Morrison, as you've talked about, Phil, look at the pace, look at the way she's running. It's a beautiful sight to watch, really. And she is heading in towards the viaduct right now.
You get a bit of a lift though, don't you, when you are in the lead, and that was what is spurring her on. The crowd getting excited though as we take a look at what's going on down here at the finish line.
And what is happening at the finish line is Jan Frodeno, the big man from Germany, is about to come through and take this title. He's had a heck of a run today. So Jan Frodeno just going through the last little part of this run course to be able to take the 2014 Ironman 70.3 Auckland title.
Well, this is a man with a gold medal motor, and he's proved it here in Auckland today, as he has got no one around him except an adoring audience, and he's just giving a bit of love to the crowd as he makes the last part of this race all of his own, Cam.
So the final corner for Jan Frodeno, here he comes. He's celebrating in style, and so he should. The 2014 Ironman 70.3 Auckland Asia Pacific champion, Jan Frodeno from Germany.
Oh, the Sheriff of Auckland fires off a few rounds as he comes across the finish line. 3:45.39 is the winning time. Very, very fast. And Jan Frodeno getting the hugs from support crew there as Richie Cunningham makes his way into second place.
Ironman 70.3 Auckland Asia Pacific champion. How does that sit with you?
Oh, awesome. You know, it's been my third race, first two races. I was a bit unlucky, and I'm just happy to put it together today, and yeah, really happy with that. Yeah, I must say it's one of those days that it just felt good all the way, you know. I'm on the run, I just try to keep it about myself, try and keep my rhythm, and brought it home.
Terenzo Bozzoni rounds out the podium.
Really just ran my own race, and I wasn't struggling too much, and it managed to pull off a good run for a second.
And Bevan Doherty running himself into fourth. Wasn't his day for the victory, but still another solid effort by the Kiwi.
Terenzo, that was a heck of a race, third place today.
Thanks, Cam. I'm really happy. I mean, it's always nice to finish on top of the podium, but a podium finish today so early in the season in my hometown here in Auckland is pretty cool.
And here comes the king of Taupo, Cameron Brown, coming in sixth place, just behind Tim Reed in fifth. And last year's winner, Christian Kemp, coming in as well into the top 10, just shaking hands with a few of the men who made his day a little bit more difficult. But out on course, it is all about the women and all about now Kat Morrison, who is extending her lead.
And here's our men's podium. Jan Frodeno in the middle, Richie Cunningham second, and Terenzo Bozzoni rounding out that top three. And they've absolutely buried themselves, but they look fresh for the celebration, Phil.
Well, the big German is all smiles, and so he should. He was very, very strong all day. Annabelle Luxford too has had a big day out on the roads of Auckland as she runs in to her second place and maintains her position with Kat Morrison up the road.
And it'll be a position right now, when you look at Catriona Morrison, the way she's running, well, that's unstoppable, really. So right now, Annabelle Luxford will be thinking, I've got second, I need to hang on to that.
Yeah, I don't think she's in any danger of being caught just yet, but you never know. Jo Lawn looks like she's still moving along very well. Luxford is somebody who'll take a lot of experience out of this and is on the learning curve. Of course, Kat Morrison has been around for a little bit longer.
Some wonderful shots looking over to Prince's Wharf, where the athletes are running right around as we see the champagne popped and the athletes really celebrating hard. That's fantastic to see, well deserved.
Well, the spoils of victory for Jan Frodeno as David Dallo makes his way across the line over back to the viaduct, and we can see Kat Morrison is still motoring. She hasn't changed, and a lot of fans are waiting to see her come into the finish line.
And they're not going to be waiting too much longer, Phil, because here she comes, Catriona Morrison. She is barely metres away from getting to the finish line here and becoming the champion of Ironman 70.3 Auckland today.
Well, I tell you now, Kat Morrison has given us a masterclass in being patient. She let Annabelle Luxford take off in the swim. She let her go harder in the bike, and Kat Morrison just waited and waited until it was her time. Her time was the marathon, and she has proven once again that she is a very, very strong competitor.
And so lots of high fives for the crowd as she just takes this last little left-hand turn. And here she comes down the red carpet in the M-Dot. A few more high fives from Kat Morrison. And oh, look, she's found one of her supporters. A hug there and keep on going, because you are going to be the champion. Here she comes, Catriona Morrison. Puts her hands in the air, and so she should. She is the 2014 Ironman 70.3 Auckland Asia Pacific champion.
And in a winning time of 4:14.41. Super fast day for Kat Morrison, well planned and well executed.
And here she comes running into second place, Annabelle Luxford. While she will be disappointed, she'll still be very happy to take second place here this early in the season.
Well, this has been a great race for Annabelle Luxford. She'll use this as a part of her learning curve. Waves to the crowd as she runs across the finish line in a well-deserved second place.
And that was a heck of a race. Well done.
Oh, I'm just so pleased it went so well. I couldn't have asked for anything better.
So your plan this morning, you're always in touch, you know, you're always in touch. Then you just unleashed that run you're so famous for. It was brilliant.
I'm just trying to get more in touch every time. And I think today I stepped up just a little bit, and I can take a lot of confidence from that. You know, I've raced Annabelle a couple of times last year, and I mean, that is what she's so good at. She's such a dominant swimmer, and she's a very strong biker. And I knew that it was just going to come down to the run and who was going to have most left in the tank.
Second place, you happy?
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to be able to have held on for first, but I'm really happy with starting my season in this position. Like I said, I didn't have the preparation that I might have had last year, but you can't kind of be going full steam all year, and you have to take a break at some point.
Well, local and crowd favourite Joe Lawn rounds out the podium for third.
First Kiwi home. You had an outstanding race. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, I didn't have a good swim, but I enjoyed the swim. And then the bike, oh, what a beautiful bike ride. Oh my, I mean, the day is just, was unbelievable. You know, I mean, this is what Auckland's all about. The water was just like glass. And then the bridge view was well worth every second of climbing that hill.
Well, what a magic day and what an impressive course. Auckland and Ironman 70.3 Auckland organisers have again produced a magnificent event on the New Zealand and international circuit. Well, that's a wrap, as they say, from Ironman 70.3 Auckland. Special thanks to the City of Auckland and our major sponsor, Ports of Auckland. Thanks for watching, and congratulations to Jan Frodeno winning the men's and Kat Morrison, who took out the women's race, along with all the age group finishers. Auckland put on a stellar day for all of us, and we look forward to bringing you this event again in 2015.